The focus of our attention at the moment is this incredible bill of fights over in Saudi Arabia, which is very much on the horizon as well, taking place in October. And of course, talkSPORT will be all over it. One of those fights, Ben Whittaker against Liam Cameron. Joining Simon, myself, and Spencer Oliver this lunchtime is promoter, boxer, chief executive Ben Shalom. Ben, it's funny, right at the same time there, Spencer Oliver and myself both received text messages from one Billy Joe Saunders, who's saying, come on, what about my man, Louis Edmondson? Why, Ben, have you not got him fighting Ben Whittaker on this bill in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia? What do you want to say to that?
Look, it's a good question, and Louis Edmondson's a great fighter and a great lad, and someone I like a lot. And I'm sure that fight does happen down the line, and I want to see Louis' career developed regardless of Ben Whittaker. I think for me, Liam Cameron, say what you want about Ben Whittaker, that is a huge step up. To do this after coming back, seeing Liam Cameron take Lyndon after the distance, lose on I think it was a split decision, Spence, on Channel 5, headlining.
Yeah, I mean,
Ben Whittaker, who's still widely considered a prospect to take a fight like this, it's a huge test, and credit for Riyadh season again for getting it done as well.
Is there any truth in Ben Whittaker declining to fight Edmondson?
Look, I think Ben clearly wants the biggest nights, the biggest fights, the biggest paydays. I believe he's seen Liam Cameron and thought, Liam's boxed at a higher level than me. He's looking at a higher level. I want to prove myself. I've got a measuring stick. I can see Lyndon Arthur. This is a test. This is something where I can prove how good I really am.
But what I'm getting at, Ben, is that Whittaker hasn't ducked Edmondson here.
Whittaker will fight anyone, but it has to make sense for him. Whittaker is looking up, as every fighter does, and saying, who's the next name? Who's the next fight that's going to increase my pedigree, increase my resume? So, of course, he's going to have fighters calling him out, whether it's Louis Edmondson, but every day he has fighters calling him out. So he is that guy, and it's going to be like that for the next couple of years, and he'll take the fights that make most sense for his development.
Listen, I think Louis Edmondson is a great fighter, and that is a good fight down the road for Ben Whittaker, and I'm sure that fight will happen. But for Ben Whittaker to step up and fight Liam Cameron, now you've got to give him props for that, because that is a huge step up. Yes, Ben is the golden boy turning over and the one that everyone's talking about, but Liam Cameron is no pushover. He pushed Lyndon Arthur to a split decision last time out. He's a former Commonwealth champion, very much on a high at the moment, and it's a huge, huge step up for Ben Whittaker for sure.
Look, it was on his hit list, and I was a bit, when he said, I want Liam Cameron next, as a promoter with a talent like Ben, and knowing that I want him to develop, and knowing I want him to headline, he's never headlined the show yet. I thought this was a huge indicator of where we're going. And I think October 12th is going to show a lot about how good Ben Whittaker is. And credit to Liam Cameron, because he has been through the mill, rightly or wrongly, had a long time out of the sport, and has come back, worked hard, and got a huge opportunity. And he will come game as anything, and looking to take Ben Whittaker's head off.
Ben Eubank Jr., Chris Eubank Jr. fights his fella Camille Zemaretta, but is there not a bigger challenge out there for him? Is there not a world title challenge out there for him, Ben, under your good self?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of this. Obviously, he's a huge name. There's a lot of opinions around what he does, when he does it, who he fights, and rightfully so. He's never won a world title, and his talent deserves to win a world title with hard work. You have to just look at it plain and simple. At his age, in his activity, he's been out the ring nearly a year. I still think this is a good fight to come back to, a guy that's only lost to Munguia and Golovkin, a guy that's coming to win, a guy that's going to stick it on him. And to be honest, I'm just so grateful that he's back in the ring, one of the biggest stars in British boxing. This is going to give him the momentum, the platform to take those big fights, to take the big fights on his terms. And I think people have to understand, when you've been out of the ring a year, you're going to want to get back in. And I think this is a good test. And I think, to be honest, British boxing fans should be happy we have Chris Eubank Jr. back in the ring and ready for the big fight.
Eubank Jr. should be doing bigger things than this?
Yeah, I do. But I understand the reasons why he isn't. I understand the reasons why he hasn't taken the potential offer of the Canelo fight that was potentially in the makings, because your best version of yourself, and if you're going to go in and try and win a world title, if that's what your motivation is. If your motivation is to get paid to play some more poker and tell us all about your Las Vegas villa, then you can go in and fight Canelo and lose and pick up.
Also, just on what Simon said there, a lot of fighters probably would just take Canelo on 6 weeks' notice for the money that they shouldn't get. Chris wants to win that fight. He's going into fights to win. He's ambitious. He's not coming for like, I think people think maybe he's so money hungry it doesn't make sense. No, if he was that money hungry and that desperate for money, he'd take a few million and he'd go and fight Canelo on 6 weeks' notice and not be prepared.
Or
he wants to win that fight.
Double dip in Saudi by taking an easy fight, get his star shining in Saudi, and get paid twice for being in Saudi.
Yeah, but I think that, you know, what Ben's saying there is, you know, when you fight someone like Canelo, a fight of that magnitude, you want to be best prepared for that, especially at Eubank's stage of his career. What is he, 34 years of age? He's in the twilight of his career.
He's been scratching his ass for 12 months for then.
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying is you have to be best. He's only been given 6 weeks' notice. The fight hadn't been done.
He's been doing nothing for 12 months.
What does that matter, though, when you only get 6 weeks' notice? The
choice is you could have had plenty of tune-up fights during that period.
There's reasons for behind the scenes. You know, people have their own issues. There's reason why he's not boxed, not because he doesn't want to box. And so I think he wants to go into the Canelo fight to win, and that's the plan. And this will prepare him for the big nights. He's not going in there to lose, and he wants to be paid properly.
Well,
and when he's getting offered more money for other fights other than Canelo, you have to have alarm bells. Canelo's the biggest fight in boxing.
For boxer, Chris Eubank brings the charisma and brings some heat and some noise, and it's good. And it's good for Ben. As for boxing, he's gone in twice against world title holders, and he's lost both times. So he's lost to Billy Joe Saunders, he's lost to George Groves. Unless there's a created opportunity or a curated opportunity, I don't see Chris Eubank Jr. winning a world title, and I certainly don't see him winning a world title against Canelo. But to give him an opportunity, if indeed he wants that opportunity, rather than endlessly listing out the fact he wants to fight Canelo, or he wants to fight Conor Benn, or he wants to fight this person, and never actually having these fights, to get the best version of him, he does need a few more fights.
Is there an argument, Ben, as Simon is suggesting, that Eubank Jr. is to a degree marking time?
No, absolutely not. I think Chris has his biggest fights ahead of him. When Simon talks about every time he stepped up, he's lost. Let's just break that. Billy Joe Saunders, that fight was early on in his career. It was a very close fight. Billy Joe is an unbelievably talented fighter. And Chris came on very strong towards the end of that fight. It was extremely close. George Groves was at super middleweight. At 168 against a very, very big man and a very, very close fight. Yes, he's lost twice in situations that had circumstances played out, he wouldn't have come through it.
And he lost to Liam Smith, who's a light middleweight.
He's then made up for that. And I think Chris Eubank Jr. is a phenomenal talent. I believe he will win a world title. I think we're going to see his biggest fights over the next 18 months.
Ben, as always, fight fans getting in touch with us when we're on air. No name on this one. What top fighter like Eubank Jr. takes a warm-up fight? None. He's not a top fighter. He's had Ben Shalom's pants down here for a big purse. It's an easy fight. The rest is history. I mean, many people are thinking, I think along similar lines to Simon, get him in there for the big ones now. He's been around long enough. You know, get him in there. But you're saying he's got reasons for taking the fight that he's taking in October.
I think, look, it's disrespectful to call Zeremeta a warm-up fight. This is a guy, as I said, that's taken 2 losses in his career to Golovkin and Munguia. I think it's a good fight. It's not the big name that we want to see him in with, and we will see him in with. But as I say, he's had a lot going on. He's been out the ring in over 12 months. I'm glad to see him back, because it means we're going to get the big fights.
Ben, does the roadmap for Chris Eubank Jr. see him boxing for a world title within the next 12 months?
Yes, but equally, and I'm just being completely transparent, he wants the biggest names. We've seen his hit list. We've seen Billy Joe talking about a comeback. We've seen Conor Benn perhaps returning. We know he wants the Canelo fight. We know Crawford might look at moving up to middleweight as well. So those will take precedence. And those big names will take precedence, but he wants to win a world title at 160, and I can see it. And there's possible fights there to be made against Lara that was talked about, and Adames as well. So, as I say, he wants to achieve everything that everyone wants him to achieve, that everyone sees his talent and believes he can achieve. And he's got 18 months to 2 years to to go and do that in his peak.
Okay, Ben, thank you very much indeed. We heard from Boxer Chief Executive Ben Shalom on the fact that Chris Eubank Jr. will fight on that bill in October in Riyadh. Many of you out there are saying to us, time up. He's got to be having a world title fight by now. And if not, why not? There's Rob. Guys, you're making excuses for Eubank Jr. His career's getting boring now. There's another one, Spencer. Eubank Jr., he's a big name because of his dad's legacy. But it's boring now, guys. I've no desire to see him fight, to be honest. I mean, does this come through to you, Spencer, about Eubank Jr.? There's a frustration amongst certain fight fans.
Absolutely. Listen, we do need to see him in a world title shot, and we need to see that very, very soon. I understand where he's sat right now. We're saying he didn't want the Canelo fight because he's been 13 months out, and there is an argument there. Simon's one that will argue about that, saying, listen, it's about opportunity. You've got to take them opportunities, and he hasn't taken it. He's tried to take his own path. He's going out to Saudi. He's going to get this fight. It's a very winnable fight. You know, he's a tough guy, a tough campaigner, but no world beater. He gets the win here, and then we need to see him in that big fight with that big name. He has to box for a world title. I don't think the public will accept anything but.
Okay, Spencer, we shall see.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.